What's up, you guys? It's Jonathan Carter, the movie critic that watches bad movies so you don't have to, and today we are talking about Wonder Man. Wonder Man is the latest MCU entry and the first in 2026. It is an 8-episode limited series streaming over on Disney+. Stars Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, as Wonder Man, and Ben Kingsley reprising his role as Trevor Slattery, or as most people know him, the Mandarin, or I guess the fake Mandarin from Iron Man 3.
Don't hurt the face, I'm an actor.
Before we jump into this review, I didn't have much hype level at all for Wonder Man. I put out a video recently a couple weeks back with my wife, I'll link it up here, where we talked about everything MCU coming out in 2026, and I actually had Wonder Man at like the bottom of my list of hype just because Marvel didn't market this show. They dropped it all at once. I didn't know anything about it. And with the track record of shows, of Disney Plus shows that Marvel just ends up dropping where they don't market it at all, Echo, Ironheart, things like that, Eyes of Wakanda or something, I didn't have any hype for it because the quality of those shows are normally pretty bad. And I don't want to give too much away, but I was actually pleasantly surprised with Wonder Man. Now, before we jump into the review, let me know your thoughts on Wonder Man if you've seen it in the comments. What was your hype level for the show going into it? And were you blown away by it, or did it not meet your expectations at all? I want to know all that in the comments. Without further ado, let's jump into the review.
Where have I seen him before?
Pretty sure he used to be a terrorist.
Right off the bat, you guys, Wonder Man is
Amazing.
I'm actually fully floored at just how great this show turned out to be. And in all honesty, it's kind of upsetting that these shows could have been this good the entire time. Like, WandaVision and Loki, phenomenal shows. Both seasons of Loki, like, really, really great. And then everything else is just kind of like, you know, like, and I'm a huge fan of Daredevil, but they didn't really do him justice in his show all that much. Crossing fingers for Daredevil Born Again Season 2 to be better. So, Wonder Man is essentially a show within a show. Our main character here, Simon, is an actor in LA that is auditioning, is a struggling actor, and he gets the opportunity to audition for a remake of Wonder Man. So yes, Wonder Man is about a show in a show that is called Wonder Man, and there are like actors in this world. It's essentially this kind of take on Hollywood and how ridiculous things can get, and it also pokes fun at itself that nobody really cares about superheroes anymore. Nobody's really watching the MCU. People are watching the MCU, but not nearly as much as they were back in like the height of Phase 3 with Infinity War and Endgame. And the show pokes fun at that a little bit. There's also some like tongue-in-cheek jokes about like how actors are in Hollywood, or like what the audition process or like trying to be a struggling actor is like, or trying to be an actor or being a struggling actor is like in Hollywood. The ridiculous or over-the-top places that people will go just to get an audition or a callback, or how stressful it can be just to film something like this, recording yourself like auditioning for something. I can't go any further without talking about Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. How amazing. I mean, he's a phenomenal actor. I knew that going into Wonder Man. He was really the only thing that piqued my interest going into this show. He is phenomenal in this series. All of the different types of like personality traits he needs to convey. He is essentially kind of dealing with a lot of like mental health stuff from trauma from his childhood, not feeling like important as a person, or like he's living up to the person that he wants to be. He also has some issues, if you've seen the show, of essentially he struggles a little bit conveying like what the actor, the script needs to be to bring to the screen, and it kind of gets him like in trouble on sets. He'll lose his job, or they'll just write him out of the show just because he can be a little bit over the top or a little meticulous in exactly what he wants to convey as someone who's just like barely a supporting role in a movie or a show. And I just thought those scenes were just so incredibly entertaining, and I thought that he played them so well. Playing opposite him, Ben Kingsley back as Trevor Slattery, fake Mandarin from Iron Man 3 and last seen in Shang-Chi, I believe. Their dynamic that they play off of each other honestly makes the show. I was like upset, you know, with Iron Man 3 and the fake Mandarin thing like everybody else was, you know, way back in 2013 whenever that movie came out. But honestly, I kind of saw through that and just was like, okay, that's what the MCU decided to do. What they do with Trevor in this series, how they use his character, I don't want to go too much into like spoilers here, but it is in one of the trailers. Simon, Wonder Man, secretly has superpowers, and in this world, in the MCU, this show goes into it, an actor you can't be an actor if you have superpowers. For all these legal reasons, there's like a specific bottle episode about why in this show. Simon hides that he has superpowers. He knows that he has superpowers. He figured that out as a kid, but he hides it because he wants to be an actor. Trevor, who is essentially, I guess in Shang-Chi, was dodging his like prison sentence, he comes back to the US, immediately gets caught by the FBI, and they say, hey, unless you want to go back to prison, you need to watch Simon, get to know him, become essentially like work for the FBI undercover, because Simon, they believe that he is dangerous. He is like this Omega level, like super powerful individual. So their friendship essentially starts out as fake. It's just Trevor trying to get information on Simon so that he can avoid going to prison. But then, of course, as the show goes on, as the story develops, they actually become real friends, and then there's twists and turns. But that dynamic, as their relationship, their friendship blossoms, is the heart of I almost said Iron Man, is the heart of Wonder Man, and it is done so well. It's so fulfilling, like how watching these characters play off of each other and just watching the relationship that they grow into over the course of the show. Really, it's very well done, and both actors are just doing a phenomenal job in this movie, or in this show. Now, for better and for worse, Wonder Man is very disconnected from everything MCU. My take with Marvel recently, like since Endgame, I think the worst mistake, the worst step that Marvel took was all of these Disney Plus shows. And I know that Disney kind of like strong-armed them contractually like into doing that, but I just think it really diluted the brand. Nobody watches them anymore. They feel much more like homework, and the quality of them just aren't really that good outside of WandaVision and Loki. And so for Wonder Man to be disconnected from everything else, where you don't really need to remember what happens in Endgame or Loki season 2 or Miss Marvel or Moon Knight or Hawkeye or Eternals or anything like that, it's just, hey, watch this guy be a struggling actor, audition for Wonder Man as he has secret superpowers. Really, all that you need to know about going into the show is that Trevor was the fake Mandarin in Iron Man 3. That is honestly really it. And so for this type of show and where Marvel is, that plays very strong for Wonder Man. And I honestly wish that they had just marketed this show more, but I also do see the negative reverse side of that, where the MCU is finally starting to feel connected again, with Thunderbolts going into Fantastic Four, into Spider-Man Brand New Day, into Avengers Doomsday. Like, they're making a through line again, so everything is starting to feel connected. So for Wonder Man to not be connected in that is really frustrating, but I personally enjoy these Disney Plus shows more when they just don't connect, when they're not necessary viewing. I know it's kind of like double-edged sword because you want everything in the MCU to be substantial necessary viewing, but these shows just end up feeling like homework. And I honestly wouldn't have watched this show if I didn't have this review channel, because I'm just so over these Marvel TV shows with the plethora of them, and just like how they vary so much in quality. I just don't really jump at the shows anymore, and honestly, I don't think the general audience does either. While you could see Wonder Man not connecting to the MCU as a negative, I actually see that more as a positive, because it's just this standalone story that probably won't connect to Doomsday or Secret Wars or anything like that. Who knows if we'll even see Wonder Man again, but it is just a phenomenally well done, well directed, well written, well acted story. Truly the only drawback, yeah, there are some like cheesy lines, again, because this like is a Disney Plus show, and out of 8 episodes, about a 4-hour run, episodes 3 and 4, with 4 being like that bottled episode, they do lull a little bit in the story. Like, it pulls it back a little bit. The show starts really strong with episode 1 and 2, dips a little bit in like the forward momentum, but then at episode 5 and on all the way through the end, that momentum is picked back up, and it is just played out so satisfying. And if you can get through like episode 3 and 4 being a little bit slow, it is worth it to check it out by the end, like to keep with it by the end of Wonder Man. Right before we wrap this up with the verdict of Wonder Man, you guys, please be sure to like and subscribe. Again, let me know your thoughts on Wonder Man in the comments, and also check me out on social media, Instagram, TikTok for shorter versions of reviews, and then Spotify for podcast versions of these reviews. Wrapping this up with the verdict, Wonder Man is the best MCU show in years. Does that matter? I don't know if people are really watching these shows anymore outside of like the hardcore Marvel fans. I don't think the general public really cares about these shows anymore, but at least you can know, if you were hesitant on watching this one, definitely check it out, because it is worth it as just a standalone thing where you don't need any other MCU homework of Fantastic Four, or Spider-Man, or Avengers Doomsday, or Endgame, or anything like that, you can just watch this show. And you should, because it is so well done. The two main actors here, Abdul Mateen II and Ben Kingsley, are just absolutely incredible. They play off of each other so well, and this one is definitely worth checking out if you were on the fence about it. All that being said, I'm gonna give Wonder Man an 8 out of 10. Go see this, you guys. It is streaming on Disney+. It's 8 episodes, only about 4 hours long. Definitely worth checking out. Let me know your thoughts on Wonder Man in the comments. Let me know what you think about my review. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And all that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.